place to start.
It is. It's the only place.
No, that sounds fantastic. And so, my vision is to build that community, is to build that network for the woodworking industry, is to make here, our new offices, a place for people to come, a place for people to learn, a place for people to learn from each other, to build those relationships. Because it can be so lonely when you're running a business on your own.
Very.
You're trying to find a way, you're making mistakes, you're working, or you're in the detail, and you can't see that bigger picture.
Exactly.
Just come away from that.
Yeah.
And spend time with people who have been there and done it, but equally people who are on the same journey as you.
Yeah.
And I'm wanting to build a group so that we're investing in companies. I'm wanting to invest £100 million with my team across the next few years.
Wow.
In the woodworking industry, just to change it.
Yeah.
To give people the freedom if they want it.
Yeah.
To retire.
Yeah.
And to bring their companies into my group. To build sustainable companies that support each other.
Yeah.
So that we can be taking on large contracts and actually spreading that across a whole load of smaller companies who can all facilitate it. So that it's not just a few big companies that can take on these big contracts.
Yeah.
Actually, we as a network can be taking on those huge big contracts. There's so much work around the world.
There is.
You know, in America, in Saudi, everywhere, within the UK.
Mm-hmm.
And actually to be able to take on those huge projects and not need to be the one or two big players that can do it, but to be a network and go, right, you're brilliant at that, you do that bit, you're brilliant at that, you've got a gap in your production, here you are, here's more work than you can ever wish or hope to have, you know, and for it to be a really collaborative community, I suppose, but then also to be learning to, we're looking at setting up an accountancy firm, so again, there's numbers and ways of tracking numbers that make all the difference. You'll know that. Tracking, and a big thing within the woodworking industry and manufacturing is not just what have you got out the door, but there's an awful lot of projects that you're a part way through of. What's your work in progress? What's the revenue that you're going to generate? Who needs to do what in order to make that happen?
Exactly.
And you're talking about reducing the lead times, the capacity planning. To be able to understand how to plan that much better, and how to know today what does everybody need to do in order to stay on track.
Very
not,
true.
Oh dear, we're near the end of the month or we're near the delivery date we've promised, manically running around trying to get it done. You know? And being able to learn those skills, but learn those together within the network is fantastic. And I'd love you to be part of that. I'd love you to, because just hearing your passion, hearing your story, I guess I love people who just get on and do it. Who take that plunge, who recognise, are sort of self-aware enough to recognise that they need to take that jump. And that they are standing on that cliff. But actually, they've got enough life experience and enough peer support to take that leap and to do that jump.
Absolutely.
And I love you to be really central to what I'm building here, because you echo so much of my passion for the industry.
I feel that.
Of making a difference to people. Changing lives. You know, and like you say, it is all encompassing. It's not just changing their work, it's changing their family. It's the dad being at home, it's the mum being at home, it's being take a holiday, it's being able to have a business that runs by itself and actually being able to have an exit at the end. You know, let's sell it and celebrate. Or let's sit back and let the company run and being able to empower other people. And one of my big passions is teaching owners how to empower their leadership team.
That's very powerful.
You know,
very
and
powerful.
It's until you can delegate, until you can let go, you can't go on holiday.
No, you can't.
Because nobody knows what they're doing. And unless, but so many people that I work with, they feel like, well, unless I'm there, unless I'm down in the workshop, it doesn't happen. Unless I'm driving this through, it doesn't happen.
And it shouldn't be like that.
You know, and I'm a great believer in painting the picture of where I want to be. So this is what I want it to look like. This is when I want it to happen. but it's up to you as to how we get there.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
And then my analogy is, if here's the destination, and you can either go up over the mountain or down through the valley.
Yeah.
If I'm going to tell somebody you've got to climb that mountain, to get there, as soon as it starts getting tough, they're blaming me.
Yeah, exactly.
They're coming back and they're moaning like anything that I've picked the wrong route and we shouldn't have been doing that, you know.
Yeah.
And whereas actually, if I say, okay, this is where we need to be, this is the project we're doing, this is when we need to do it by, come back to me with a plan. You decide
that's
whether
powerful.
you want to go through.
Yeah.
And then when they've decided to go up the mountain, when it gets a bit tough, they're going to dig in and do it.
Yeah.
And I need to give them the right kit. I need to give them the support. I need to be there when it's tough.
Yeah.
But that's the role I'm playing.
Yeah.
I'm giving them a destination. I'm not giving them this list of instructions. Unless you stick to those instructions, it doesn't work. But when people have made their own plan, they own it.
Yeah.
And therefore, that is the key to delegating, to letting other people take responsibility. And then you can go on holiday. Because they're owning that. You've painted that picture and you've said, this is where we're going, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
You've given them the tools on how to get there.
Yeah.
But they're making that plan. And I really resonate with what you say about unlocking and freeing these woodworkers, but also not just working with the owner, but working with their key people and their team and teaching them how to communicate with them.
Absolutely.
How to empower them, because you're talking about the new generation wanting that feedback, and wanting to make a difference, wanting that kind of legacy, wanting to not just turn up to work, do something and go home, but actually achieve something.
Yeah.
And actually have if I do this, and this, I can progress.
Yeah.
I can earn more, I can have more responsibility, I can grow.
Yeah.
And then empowering them to do it.
Yeah.
And then that's what makes a business strong.
It is.
When you've got you're not just got the owner driving and pushing everything, and maybe a few people around. You've got everybody in the company.
Exactly.
They're all understanding where you're going. They all get that vision, and they're all pushing. And funnily enough,
it's powerful, isn't it?
It's so powerful.
It's powerful.
But the amazing thing is, it's not rocket science.
No.
You don't have to be the most intelligent person in the world. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to. It's not. When you know, it's really simple.
Yeah.
But it's the consistency of sticking to.
It is.
Those fundamentals.
Consistency is a good word. Yeah. Consistency every time.
And just picking up on that consistency.
Yeah.
It feels like you've been very consistent in your drive through your career, and that's been quite a sort of fundamental point that you've kept to.
Yeah.
In that, just can you give us an example of when you've taken a company through a project, and things were a bit tough, but actually the consistency, continuing to do the right thing, has got you to where you want to be?
Yeah, in one company we're doing a massive project, and it started off okay, and then it started not to be so okay, and then it got very bad, and we were running out of time, and we had no way that we could fail. So I found the root cause of why it had happened. So what had happened is people hadn't done what they said they were going to do at the right time.
Of course.
And then the wheels fell off. So what we did is we said, right, okay, it needs to be ready by then. Let's say it needs to be ready the day before. We don't want to finish it on the day of delivery. Okay. Yeah. And this is us today. What work have we got to do? So what we did is we said, we've got X amount of hours of work to do. We've got X amount of people, etc., etc., etc. Oh, we haven't got enough. Okay, it's overtime then, lads. Yep, okay. So we took the time that we had left, and we, what I call balanced the line. We broke it down into 3 sections of production, and we said, right, on the first section, we've got to put in 200 hours worth of work, and these are the things we're going to achieve. The second one, we're going to do all these things, we've got to achieve all those things in section 2. If we don't achieve what we set out to do in section 1, by hook or by crook, we're in trouble. So section 1 went okay, got into section 2, right lads, this is what we've got to do, this is the list of what's got to happen, and this is when it's got to be done by. And everyone signed up to it, everyone achieved it, and we went through the 3rd section, and we actually got ahead, and we actually finished like 2 days before we were due. And I put that down to having a plan, sharing the plan, working to the plan.
That's incredible, isn't it?
It is. And then it kind of happened again several months later. And I said, guys, you're not working to the plan. Why do you abandon the plan?
It worked so well.
It worked. Well, they said, oh, well, it's hard work. And, making sure you do. Well, it's harder when you fail, isn't it? Oh, yeah, you're right. So it then became the norm of that's how we worked. So I call it line balancing. We've got a bucket load of work there, bucket load. That's how many hours we're going to do, and that's what we're going to do. And it works every time. And people seem to think that you do that when you're in trouble, but that's what stops you getting into trouble.
Yeah.
Don't do it when you
just
think...
only do it when you get into trouble.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Do it all the time. And sometimes it's a bit disciplined. But then people start to realise, actually, this feels good. We're successful all the time. It's like being Manchester City. Every time we play, we win.
Yeah.
You feel good. You win another cup. You win another title. Yeah. So that, I think, is very powerful. And that's something I use a lot.
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, I'm working with a kitchen manufacturer at the moment, and in a very similar way.
Yeah.
So the software that we have, the Wood software, maps that out. So here's a project, and this is who needs to do what on each day.
Yeah.
And then, right, okay. No, because it's really easy to plan or look at the numbers. Previously, accountants love to give you the numbers.
Yeah. Show where you went wrong.
Here's your accounts. Oh dear.
Yeah.
And then trying to pull it apart.
Yeah.
Well, actually, looking ahead and going, okay, what's next month's production going to be now?
Yeah.
And if we do all of that, what's that going to return in revenue?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
No. Oh, okay, well, what do we do about it? Right. Ring round and pull 3 jobs forward into it. And even if we only do 25% of those jobs, that's revenue.
Still an increase.
Still an increase. And we're working on that.
Yeah.
And then, right, we've now got a plan that works and the finances are going to give us what we want.
Yeah.
Now, here you are. To each person within the business, that's what you've got to do.
Yeah.
So all of these jobs that we're working on in order to make that happen. And on a daily basis, here you are.
Yeah.
And that has taken them from breaking even to making 80 grand net profit a month within a few months.
Yeah.
Just by that focus.
It's a plan, isn't
and they've got the same amount of work, they've got the same amount of people. It is literally just making that plan and doing that little bit more today because that's on the list, rather than it just drifting and not having that discipline to go, no. Yeah. This is what we said we would do today. Yeah. And by hook or by crook, we're going to do it.
Exactly. And I think you're absolutely right. It's incredibly powerful. The benefits are enormous. And what I tend to do is I have a big no-bo board on the workshop floor so that it's not just the team leaders who've got their spreadsheets. Yeah. It's the whole team can say, where's that meant to be on Wednesday? Oh, it's going into the spray shop. Right, okay, we better get this done. And it's like you said earlier on, when you get everyone involved, it's so much easier than just getting the top level involved.
Because everybody's pulling together. Everybody can see the plan. Yeah. And everybody feels part of it.
Yeah, they do.
They feel empowered because they feel included. Yeah. They're not just spoon-fed the bit of information that they need today. There you are. Yeah. There's the plan.
Exactly. You can see it any day of the week, any time, any day. And I find that even apprentices who have just come into the business, maybe they're 6 months, they want to know what it's all about. And if they're working on any of that, they want to know if they're doing the right thing on the right day. Yeah. So you're right, getting it right down to the apprentice level is so powerful.
Yeah, it is. And what would you say to smaller firms who feel like, well, that works in a big environment, but there's only a few of us here. Is it still worth having these plans and these projects?
Yes, it is, because if you start now, when you get bigger, it's going to be a lot easier and you're going to save a lot of money by not making the mistake in the first place. And it's damn sight easier to get 4 people working to a plan than it is 14 people.
Yes.
Yeah, so get it in day one. And I always think, when you're creating a business, if you've got the forethought to start with, imagine that you're building a franchise and that one day this is going to be copied by other people. So you've got to get it right. You've got to have processes. You've got to do the right thing at the right time. Yeah. And if you think of it like a franchise, it takes care of itself because you do the right stuff at the right time.
And that's such a world apart from so many businesses with their own.
Yeah.
That just all sits in one person's head.
Yeah.
there's not a process for everything. They could do the same project 6 months later and they do it completely differently.
Yes.
Because nothing is systemized. Yeah. But talking to lots of them, it always feels like such a mountain to climb to get from where they are to that point where they are systemized.
Yeah.
And how, because actually when you break it down, it's fairly simple things that they need to do.
Yeah.
How do they get from being where they are to being able to have that plan and that process?
I understand that for some people it's a massive culture shock, but the way I overcome that is break it down into little bite-sized chunks. Okay. You don't eat an elephant in one sitting, do you? You eat it a bit at a time. So you whatever it is, break the process down into lots of little pieces, and then do one bit, and you think, that works pretty well. Okay, we can do that, and then gradually build it up until you've got the whole picture. And it makes it less difficult. If you look at the picture and think, oh my God, what a mess. I'm never going to do all this. Harry won't like it. Oh God, etc., etc. Don't do that. We can manage a little bite-sized chunk easily, can't we? And then just build up. And before you know it, you've done it. And the great thing about doing it bit by bit, people will see, actually, that bit made it a lot easier. And they're more enthusiastic about it. By the time you get to stage 3, they're running with it. And they get excited about all this time they're saving. And life isn't so hard after all. And the right timber's in at the right time. And
lo and behold.
Yeah, exactly. And it wasn't accidental. It was part of your plan, guys. So start off slow, build it up.
And so what do you see as the next step for you and I working together to make this happen?
Will you tell me what I've got to do and I'll be there?
Fantastic. Well, from my point of view, I would love you to come on board doing the coaching and the mentoring with me.
So would I.
Building this community, this network together.
So we've got to have a plan. We've got to practice what we've just been preaching for the last half an hour.
We have. Yeah. So let's put that plan together.
Yeah.
And that's really exciting.
Absolutely. Love it.
Thank you so much for coming in.
My pleasure, and thank you for asking me.
Brilliant.